Malbus the Reanimated is a tank guardian from the Death Domain that strikes fear and dread into the souls of his enemies. Malbus relishes the fray, exercising crowd control and weakening his adversaries to their impending doom. Infected Wound inflicts a debuff on an enemy that temporarily increases their damage taken by a certain percent. While debuffed, the first time the target takes damage, the infection will erupt to deal additional damage. Infected Wound should be the first ability Malbus uses when engaging an enemy guardian or monster in combat, as it primes them to take more damage. Malbus's Grim Reaping slams his scythe to the ground in a target direction, dealing damage to all enemies in range. After a brief pause, all enemies still in the area of effect are temporarily stunned and flip to the opposite side of Malbus. This ability can wreak havoc on guardians in the early game and help secure some kills by flipping opponents into the range of your tower or allies waiting to attack. Fear of Death causes an area of effect fear that forces all enemies to flee in the opposite direction from Malbus's position. After flipping an opponent with Grim Reaping, use Fear of Death to send them running straight for your tower to teach them a lesson they won't forget. Fear of Death can also be a lifesaver, scaring off threats to Malbus and his allies. Dark Culling briefly roots a single enemy and causes Malbus to leap at the target, dealing damage and creating an area of effect slow debuff. Hit an opponent with Infected Wound and jump in with Dark Culling. Follow up this combo with Grim Reaping to send your opponents to the afterlife. Infected Wound has good range, but Malbus can't always get close enough to inflict damage. Nairi's Charge Shot and Thunderbolt abilities have long range and will deal heavy damage to an opponent suffering from Infected Wound. When Malbus connects with Grim Reaping, it puts enemy guardians right in Nairi's sights to burn them down with a storm of arrows. Another great ally for Malbus is Talia, who also possesses a host of Guardian Bruising abilities that can pulverize opponents suffering from Infected Wound. And Malbus's Fear of Death can help ensure that Talia can escape from life-threatening situations. Be sure to tell your allies which enemies you plan on targeting with Infected Wound so you can work together to make mincemeat out of them. Frost Scale slows nearby enemies when the wearer activates an ability. Use Grim Reaping when close to an opponent to make sure they can't get away before Malbus flips them. Kinetic Kickers provides Malbus with a stacking buff of increased movement speed for a short time. With increased mobility, Malbus is able to gain better positioning in the lane. Minions Malaise lets Malbus stay in the heat of battle by reducing the damage taken from minions. With the ability to shrug off minion damage, he can jump into a crowd of enemies with Dark Culling, scoop up opponents with Grim Reaping, and secure kills that otherwise might be too risky. Malbus is a serious threat to every adversary. His durability, crowd control, and razor-sharp scythe make him an undead force not to be underestimated.